I walked across the casino floor through the hotel lobby to the VIP parking area to get my car. Before I get there, I hear my name called out. I turned around and there's Joey Stakes standing next to his black Lincoln Town car with a heavyset woman wearing a skin-tight black leather outfit that she bulged out of, especially around the middle. Her hair is teased up a good foot above her head. She's got to have on at least a pound of makeup on her face and bright ruby red lipstick that looked as though it was put on with a paintbrush. From where I stood, she looked like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. "Yo, Richie the Tailor, what's happening?" "It's your world, Joey. I'm just living in it," I said as we mob hugged. "Are you staying here, Richie?" "Nah, just in for the day. How about you?" "Got a suite for the night." He put his hand on my shoulder and we walked off to the side. "Geez, I hate to bother you, Richie, but do you think you can do something here with 150 G's? "I don't see why not," I said. "But with what's going down with this Security Act bullshit after the first of the year, I'm gonna have to deposit it first, then sign for it at a table and play a little." "Whatever you gotta do, Richie, you're the man." "Joey, you okay if I add it to my money so I can get a big game?" Joey steps back, shakes his head and says, "Madone, the ball's on this guy." I told him, "I'm not gonna gamble with his money. I just need it in order to get a $500 to $20,000 game. Forget about it, I'm in. Now let's get to work." He makes a hand motion to his big mama friend and she comes over. "Richie, this is Rosie Love. She has a stable of the best looking broads in town. Rosie, say hello to my friend, Richie the Tailor. This guy has the biggest balls in Atlantic City." Rosie leans forward and goes to give me a kiss as she reached for my testicles. Backing off, I said, "I don't think he's talking about those kinds." She grabs my arm, pulls me forward and gives me a whopper on my cheek. Then she hands me her pink business card. I look at the card and read out loud, "Massages are us." "That's a catchy name," I said. "Anytime you need company, give me a call," she said in a sexy voice, which proved something I learned a long time ago, which is never knowing what a sexy voice looks like. We all went up to Joey's suite, and when we walk in, that cute little Asian broad from a few months back is there. She's wearing a black leather exotic outfit. I didn't see handcuffs, whips, or any other dominant submission paraphernalia. And I wasn't about to ask Joey what he's into. I just followed him into the bedroom. He put a carry-on bag on the bed and opened it. It's packed with small bills. Before leaving the suite, Joey got a phone call. He started screaming in Italian at whoever was on the other end. He hung up and told me he had to leave for a few hours. He'd catch up with me in the Baccarat pit or back in the suite. He and Rosie followed me down to the casino floor. They left and I went straight to the cage. It took the cashier and the cage manager almost an hour to count the money. I walked out of the cage and I'm halfway across the casino floor when I see Lou, Joey's father, with a couple of his crew moving quickly towards the casino exit doors. When I got into the Baccarat pit, there's a lot of commotion going on behind the tables. I took a seat at an empty table where there's a dealer whom I've played with before. I asked him, "What's all the commotion?" "I'm not sure," he said. "It was all in Italian, but that guy Lou who you played with before got a phone call. It must have been bad news. He threw the phone at the wall, then he stormed out of the pit." The pit boss comes over. I asked him what Lou was pissed off about. He said, "Nobody knows what happened. And with those guys, believe me, you're better off not knowing." I signed a cash withdrawal slip for $310,000 and a $100,000 marker. I was $90,000 short, but they still gave me a $500 to $20,000 game. The pit boss put a $500 to $20,000 sign up, and a shoe later I'm down $200,000. While the dealer shuffles a new shoe, I'm wondering if Joey's call in the suite had something to do with his father freaking out. I cut the new shoe. I looked up to the heavens for some extra help, but all I saw was myself in the mirrored ceiling. "Wait a minute," I said to the dealer. "Look up there. See that guy? You know who that is?" He looked up at the mirrored ceiling and then looked back at me and said, "I only see you, Mr. V." "Nah, that's not me. That's the comeback kid. And you're in for a real treat, my friend." I stood up and started firing away. The shoe ended, and I'm $20,000 away from going into Joey's money. As the dealer shuffles the next shoe, I'm wondering what the Gamtucci family's future plans will be for Richie the Tailor, after he fucks them out of $150,000. I'm hoping the priest's brother, my insurance broker, sold me enough life insurance to take care of my family. I cut the shoe. The dealer shows me the first card out before he buries it, and the game begins. After the first 5 hands, I was into Joey's money. By the end of that shoe, I was halfway through his money. The dealer shuffles again, and I'm picturing myself on my knees, pleading with the old man who christened me Richie the Tailor, to tell his people to do a clean job. None of that chopping up stuff that they're always finding in Jersey dumpsters. I cut the new shoe. The dealer shows me the buried card. He's about to deal when a new dealer comes to the table. The original wished me good luck, then leaves. The new dealer removes the next card out of the shoe. He shows it to me, then buries it. He looked down at my remaining chips, then at me and smiles. "How are you making out today, Mr. V? I'll put it this way, I'm not in the dumpster yet." "I'm glad to hear that, Mr. V. Now let's see if we can clean you up a little." Clean up, he did. I had just lost 220 hands in a row for $10,000 each. He got really lucky with those last two hands when he got two blackjacks with the aces underneath, so I couldn't even buy the insurance. The cut card was next to come out of the shoe and the dealer hadn't noticed. I told him because of what had just happened with those blackjack hands. "I'm not sure if I'm gonna play anymore." "Mr. V, I don't blame you," he said. "What's the most you could win, another $20,000? "Well, not exactly. I could bet $20,000 and get a blackjack and win $30,000. Or maybe get a double down hand and win $40,000. Or how about this one? I get a split hand and double down on both. I done that before with a $12,000 bet and won $48,000. But being's the cut card is coming out next, I might as well color up." He looked at the cut card in the shoe and said, "Good move, Mr. V." While he's coloring up my chips, I'm sitting there watching the casino crew huddled around the desk in the center of the pit. The casino manager, Max Goodman, is on the phone. He hangs up and starts talking with the casino crew. They disperse and go to their stations, but they look a little shaken. The pit boss comes back to my table. I asked him if he heard anything about why Lou left in such a rush. "I don't think we'll be seeing him for a while," he said. "Why is that?" I asked. "There was a shooting at a strip joint on the outskirts of the city," he said. "And from what we've been told, Lou's son was shot up pretty bad." "You're saying Joey Stakes got shot?" "That's what we've been told, Mr. V." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Now what the fuck am I gonna do? I got $150,000 of his money. The dealer slides the racks of chips in front of me. Max Goodman comes to the table and tells me a security guard will be in shortly and they'll escort me to the preferred player's cage. I'm sitting there thinking, do I take the money home or do I leave it here and wait till things cool down before taking the money out? I picked up the racks of $5,000 grays and the $1,000 oranges. I left the rest for the dealer's tip. Max and a security guard escorted me to the preferred player's cage. I got all kinds of paranoid thoughts running through my head as we walk across the casino floor. Things like, are the feds following me? Are they at the cage waiting to lock me up? Or what if Joey's people are watching me with all these chips? I made it to the cage with no hitches. I paid off my $100,000 marker, deposited $450,000. I'm taking $13,000 with me. I got in my Benz and got out of Atlantic City. More than once, I checked my rearview mirror to see if I was being followed. All the while, I'm scanning the radio for news about Joey. Finally, it comes over the radio broadcaster. A sting operation in Atlantic City turns sour after New Jersey State Police and FBI agents get into a shootout today with alleged members of an organized crime family out of New York. Law enforcement agencies said it was like the gunfight at the OK Corral. Details are sketchy, but from what we've learned so far, 3 or more people were admitted to Atlantic City Hospital with gunshot wounds. One of the injured is in critical condition. My mind is racing. I gotta come up with a game plan just in case Joey doesn't make it. He told me from the beginning never to mention anything to his father or grandfather about our little thing. Jesus, if he dies, I mean, God forbid, I shouldn't be thinking like that. But I don't want to carry our secret around with me for the rest of my life. Shit. What if Rosie or that Asian broad tells his family about tonight? Oh, I can see me explaining to them that Joey asked me to keep it between us. I doubt his family knows anything, or I would never have gotten out of Atlantic City. I hate to say what I'm thinking, but if Joey does go off the air, and no one ever finds out about the 150 G's, I could make another big buy-in. While I'm scanning the radio for more news about Joey, my car phone rings. I jumped and then answer it. It's Jackie. Where are you, Richie? I got tied up in New York. Is that friend of yours Joey Stakes, last name Gamtucci? Yeah, maybe. Why you asking? It was just on the news that he was shot in a strip club in Atlantic City. He's in critical condition. They said he's mafia. You gotta be kidding, I said. Didn't I tell you that night they were mafia and you knew it? She said in an angry voice. I want to know what's going on. Jesus, Jackie, I can't believe you. What do I care what he is? Look, I gotta stop at the Kensington Ave store to pick up money, then I'll be home. That night, after I lied through my teeth answering Jackie's Joey Steaks questions, I went down to the game room and turned on the TV and radio. I'm flipping channels on the TV, but there's no news on Joey's condition. I called information and got the phone number to the Atlantic City Hospital, but I was afraid to call thinking they might have the phone line tapped. I left for work early the following morning, constantly changing radio stations, but not a word was mentioned about Joey. When I got to the factory, I saw Jojo on his way back from dropping off a newspaper at Little Nicky's joint. I went over to pick up 2 Philly and a New York newspaper. Joey's and the rest of his family members' pictures are on all 3 newspapers' front pages. After reading the headlines, my question was answered. New York crime boss loses grandson in Atlantic City. Richie the tailor, what got you out of bed? Jojo yelled. Don't tell me you got caught up in that shootout in Atlantic City? Nah, I missed that one. It's a damn shame what happened there, Jojo said. But these young punks with their drugs today have no morals. They're no better than the blacks. They're all fucking animals. Was it a drug bust, Jojo? Had to be, he said. You don't start shooting it out with the feds over prostitution or gambling. It always comes down to drugs. They'd never get away with that kind of bullshit in my day when Bruno was around. Yeah, you're probably right, Jojo. But when Bruno ran the mob, only the hippies used drugs. Today, everyone and their mother is getting high. Richie, you're right about that. Listen to this, Jojo. It says here in the paper that this guy, Joey Steaks, is the grandson of Big Joe Gamtucci, also known as the Gentle Don. Gentle? Oh yeah, he's gentle all right, Richie. Go ask the boys in Little Nicky's joint how gentle he was back in the 70s, when they almost went to war with him over Atlantic City. I got to my office and started reading the newspapers in order to have a better idea of who and what I was dealing with. After reading the stories about them, I'm thinking it might be best to contact his family and give them back Joey's $150,000. I thought of going to his viewing or his funeral, but what if the FBI is watching? I just have to wait until things cool down. Then I thought, what if they don't believe me and think that there was more than the 150,000? Nah, they gotta believe me. I'm sure the fat mama Rosie and the Asian broad would back my story. But what if they already told them and they think I'm Jewing the cash? Before I what if myself to death, I decided to write a letter. In it, I wrote that I didn't take the money out of Cage because I was afraid the feds might be watching and the money's still there. I wrote some other bullshit in it to cover my ass. I'll mail it to myself, but I won't open it. This way, it will have the post office date stamped on it, showing I wasn't gonna screw them.